It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back, you beautiful souls. It's live. We're opening up right here on S3, of course, and we are tuned into Expresso, and it's World Bee Day, which is celebrated every year on the 20th of May. Now, South African bee farmer and entrepreneur Mmabatho Portia Morudi was inspired to enter the world of beekeeping with the guidance of her grandfather. And today, Mmabatho, together with her partner Desmond Morudi, own a beekeeping and agricultural produce business. And the exceptional beekeeper is joining us this morning via video call as we commemorate World Bee Day 2021. Mmabatho, how are you doing this morning?
I'm good, thanks, and yourself?
Oh, very good. Firstly, love the color you're wearing. It looks absolutely amazing on you. And I want to thank you for joining us so early in the morning on a cold one, it seems, out here in Cape Town. But I got to ask you, can you take us back to where it all actually even started? How did you get involved in beekeeping?
Thank you, Ryle, and thank you to your viewers. So how our journey actually started, it was in 2012. At the time, we had a problem on the farm. So I grew up on a farm whereby bees would actually settle in the ceiling, produce so much honey that the ceiling would cave in. Year in, year out, growing up, this was a norm. And what we would generally do, like any family that didn't know better, we would be using tires and we'd be using insecticides to try and get rid of these bees. Until such a time in 2012 when my grandfather then took all the grandchildren for a course in beekeeping, enjoyed it so much, and I quit my job and set out on this journey.
Wow. And I must just say, I'm just picturing honey coming out of my ceiling. That sounds like a dream, like Willy Wonka. I'll just put all my tea and coffee up in the ceiling and get some honey. What a story. But you started the business, of course, and a bee farming initiative, which you focused on creating and finding a conducive environment for bees to thrive in our country. So can you tell me more about this initiative?
Yep. So when we started, having grown up in a rural community, so from this course that we did, what I then found out, oh my word, apologies, I'm in a hotel.
Oh, no problem. It looks like the lights just went out on you over there. We can definitely tell that you are in South Africa, of course, so don't worry about that. If you can still continue talking for now, that's cool, because I would love to keep you on the line, because I want to know more about bees. So you're more than welcome to still answer the question if you're comfortable with that.
Okay. So what I actually picked, oh, there we go. Thank goodness. What we picked up from the actual course was that bee populations were declining. That was one. And there was a global shortage of good quality honey. That was the second thing. And thirdly, having grown up in a deep remote village, I knew that there was sort of a link in terms of natural resource that the bees could benefit from. And then we set out to say, let us bring together our rural communities and these bees and set up bee sanctuaries where they can thrive and we can produce this good quality honey.
Yeah, now I love the fact that you involve the community, number one, because I think that education alone is so important, because bees are sometimes viewed as an enemy to humans, essentially, right? But for me, not only facing the obstacle of being in a community, but as a woman as well on top of it, what were some of the obstacles you faced within the entire industry as a whole?
I think the first obstacle we should look into was our communities. So just generally, nobody necessarily likes bees. So that was one of the main things that we really struggled with, trying to say to people, come, let's get into the space of beekeeping. A lot of people were very skeptical. Deep remote villages, they were not interested in getting involved in the initiative before. And because we went into it at a time where a lot of people were not aware of beekeeping, it was sort of quite difficult to get into the market and coming up with volumes that would be ideal for sort of your retail space or people. So you produce a certain small amount at a certain point, and then at another point you don't have any honey at all. So that had to grow over the years, and doing it sustainably as well. We had to start that education around how do we do it sustainably.
Oh, wow. Well, look, I mean, I'm already excited just hearing your story of how you got involved in bees, but I'm glad to know that we are going to have a second round at chatting to you because I want to know how I can get my own beehive started. So we will be back with our bee farm and entrepreneur, Mmabatho Portia Morudi, right after this. And next, we're going to be discussing the process of getting into beekeeping and bee farming and a taste of honey, which makes every recipe more delicious. And we have everything that you want to know right now. Check it out.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back, you beautiful souls. You're still locked in live right here on Expresso, and we're opening up with S3 and continuing our chat on this important day. We're talking about World Bee Day, and it's celebrated every year on the 20th of May. And we're chatting to Mmabatho Portia Morudi right now, our entrepreneur and beekeeper. And I'm hoping she's still on the line. Yes, she is. She's still there with us. And Portia, I wanted to ask you, of course, on more of a personal note, earlier we were discussing the educational value that you're adding to your community. You were talking about both, I would say, environmental as well as possibly the health benefits. But what's the reason and importance for you as to why raising the awareness of bees and beekeeping stands so close to you?
I think, Ryan, what we sitting on here is a ticking time bomb, if I may call it, because our bee populations are declining, and that has a very negative impact on food security. I believe it was Einstein that said without bees we'd have about 4 years of life left, and that's because they're one of the main pollinators for us. So for me, it was saying, how do I preserve them? How do I play a part in preserving bees for future generations, for my boys, for my family? How do we preserve this earth for future generations? And I think that's my way of giving back my labor of love, to say we go out into these villages, let's save the bees through these bee sanctuaries. And an added benefit to the communities is that they're benefiting from the honey sales.
I love that, man, and I think you just are truly leaving such a positive legacy with all that energy that you're putting out into this. Now, for those of us, and I think I'm definitely one that's slightly convinced because I'm very interested after listening to you, but if we're looking to get into beekeeping, what's the first thing we need to do, and what are some of the requirements when we start it up?
Starting, I always say training. That's number one. There's always a risk to beekeeping, so you have to also make sure and take precaution, especially for people that are allergic to bees. But training, research is the first step. So people think it's easy because it's not as labor intensive. It's a lot of hard work. You do a lot of nighttime work and early morning work when it comes to beekeeping, and depending on which area you're doing it in, you might find yourself working a lot in forests like I currently am doing. So, but training and research is the main thing. Wow. And I think practically going out there, joining a beekeeper, just to make sure that this is really something that you really want to go into and you have a heart for it.
Yeah, now, I'm going to be honest, Mmabatho, I believe and I know for sure that there's women out there watching this right now that have been inspired by you. So you're going to have to speak to the people right now and give them something special, because I think it's always important to see a woman in your position doing such incredible work, and you do inspire. So if you had an opportunity to speak to all these women out there that are trying to replicate what you're doing now as an entrepreneur and a businesswoman, what's the biggest piece of advice that you could give them?
So I would say it's possible. You know, when we started in 2012, I didn't think we would end up where we were. I was hopeful about the future, but looking at it now, it's amazing. So it can be done. It takes determination, hard work, And I've learned an important lesson over the last few weeks about just realizing what you're good at and doing that and bringing people on board that can help you do the rest. And that's where I'm at this point, to say together we can do so much more. I think answers to Africa, they lie here in Africa, and we can do it.
Well, Mmabatho, I am truly inspired, and I can't thank you enough for joining us this morning and doing the incredible work that you are doing. And wishing you nothing but the best of luck for the rest of your adventures. And now, as we celebrate World Bee Day, let's make sure that we buy honey and other hive products that are from local beekeepers. And then at the same time, we can continue to raise awareness on the importance of bees. Mmabatho, thank you so much for your time this morning. Have a beautiful one.
Thank you.
Well, definitely indeed, showing you the importance of honey, showing the importance of our world and how much bees play a part in that future.